Stotra Satya Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Gauri Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, ISKCON Diliti, Founder Acharyas, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki,
Jai.
Samavata Bhakta Vrinda ki,
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan ki, Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki, Jai Thank all the Puramandir. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Narayanam Namaskritya
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam
ततो जयमुदीरये।
Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
Bhagavati Tamashloke
भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki.
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
इदं भागवतं नाम
Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama-shloka Charitam
उत्तमश्लोकचरितं
Sakara Bhagavan Rishi
चकार भगवान् ऋषि
Vishreyasaya Lokasya
निःश्रेयसाय लोकस्य
Dhanyam Swasya Namaha.
धन्यं स्वस्यै नमः।
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Sri Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhar,
Shri Advaita Gadadhar,
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
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 Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Surabhyai Namaha,
Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Surabhyai Namaha,
Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Surabhyai Namaha.
Mukam karoti vasavam tvam gongam gayate girim
Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Guru
Vinataranam Yakripatamaham
Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Vinataranam.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are continuing in the first canto, chapter number 3. And today we are reading text number 29, 29. Janma
Janma
Guhyam
Guhyam
Bhagavato
Bhagavato
Yah
Yah
Etat
Etat
Prayato
Prayato
Naraha
Naraha
Sayam
Ayam
Prata
Prata
Grinam
Grinam
Bhaktya
Bhaktya
Dukha
Dukkha
Gramad
Gramad
Vimuchyate
Vimuchyate
Janma Guhyam Bhagavato
Janma Guhyam Bhagavato
Ya Etat Prayato Naraha
Ya Etat Prayato Naraha
Sayam Prata Grinam Bhaktya
Sayam Prata Grinan Bhaktya
Dukha Gramad Vimuchyate
Dukkha Gramad Vimuchyate
Janma Guhyam Bhagavato
Janma Guhyam Bhagavato
Ya Etat Prayato Naraha
Ya Etat Prayato Naraha
Sayam Prata Grinam Bhaktya Dukha Gramad Vimuchyate Janma Guhyam Bhagavato
Janma Guhyam Bhagavato
Ya Etat Prayato Naraha
Ya Etat Prayato Naraha
Sayam Prata Grinam Bhaktya
Sayam Pratar Grinan Bhaktya
Dukha Gramad Vimuchyate
Dukkha Gramad Vimuchyate Janma Guhyam Bhagavato Ya Etat Prayato Naraha Sayam Pratar Grinan Bhaktya Dukkha Gramad Vimuchyate Janma Guhyam Bhagavato Prayato Ya Etat Prayato Naraha Sayam Pratar Grinan Sayam Pratar Grinan Bhaktya Dukkha Gramad Vimuchyate
जन्मगुह्यं भगवतो
जन्मगुह्यं भगवतो
ययेतत्प्रयतो नरः
य एतत्प्रयतो नरः
सायं
सायं
प्रातर्गृह्णं भक्त्या
सायं प्रातर्गृह्णन् भक्त्या
दुःखग्रामात् विमुच्यते
दुःखग्रामात् विमुच्यते
जन्मगुह्यं भगवतो
जन्मगुह्यं भगवतो
यैतत्प्रयतो नरः
य एतत्प्रयतो नरः
सायं परद्गृणः भक्त्या
सायं प्रातर्गृह्णन् भक्त्या
दुःखग्रामात् विमुच्यते
दुःखग्रामात् विमुच्यते
Janma,
जन्म
birth,
birth
Guhyam,
गुह्यं
mysterious,
mysterious
Bhagavataha,
भगवतः
of the Lord,
of the Lord
Yaha,
यः
one, Etat,
एतत्
all these,
all these
Prayataha,
प्रयतः
carefully,
carefully
Nara,
नरः
man,
man
Sayam,
सायं
evening,
evening
Prataha,
प्रातः
morning,
morning
Grinan,
गृह्णन्
recites,
recites
Bhaktya,
भक्त्या
with devotion,
with devotion
Dukkhagramat,
दुःखग्रामात्
from all miseries,
from all miseries
Vimuchyate,
विमुच्यते
gets relief from.
gets relief from.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Listen carefully. Very important verse. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Kindly repeat after me. Whoever carefully recites,
Whoever carefully recites,
whoever carefully recites
whoever carefully recites
the mysterious appearances
the mysterious appearances
of the Lord
of the Lord
with devotion
with devotion
in the morning
in the morning
and in the evening
and in the evening
gets relief
gets relief
from all miseries of life.
from all miseries of life.
So this should be of importance, are not ordinary. Our birth and our activities in the material world are ordinary. They are not mysterious. They are fully controlled by the laws of material. That is the big difference. When Krishna appears in the material world, we have to hear with attention and devotion, otherwise we'll miss everything. When Krishna appears in the material world, what is the difference between the Lord's appearance in the material world and our appearance, our birth? Actually, we don't say that Krishna is born, we say that Krishna appears. He appears and disappears. What is the main difference of Krishna's appearance and our appearance?
We take birth and God does
Uh-huh.
not take. We take birth, but Krishna does not take birth. He appears.
But what does that mean? Yeah, we take birth and he appears. Why do we make that difference?
Because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hmm?
Because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Because they have to accept body and he does not have to accept body. His body is transcendental.
He accepts the body.
But that is not material body.
Yeah. The difference is that he takes on the body, but it's not a new body. It's his eternal body. We also exist in our eternal spiritual body, but we accept a material body. Krishna, he manifests his eternal spiritual body. And the big difference is that because Krishna's body is always spiritual, always transcendental, he is not influenced by the modes of material nature as we are. And therefore, he always remains completely transcendental. His body is transcendental, his mind is transcendental, his intelligence is transcendental, his ego is transcendental. Our body is not transcendental, our mind is not transcendental, our intelligence is not transcendental, and our ego, that's where the problem begins. The ahankar, false ego. Yeah. So Prabhupada continues here. Therefore, yes, the birth and activities of the Lord are not ordinary. They are mysterious. And only by those who carefully try to go deep into the matter by spiritual devotion is the mystery discovered. So in many places Krishna explains to Arjuna how the subject matter of his appearance and the subject matter of his discussion, what Krishna is discussing with Arjuna, the knowledge that Krishna is revealing to Arjuna is also mysterious. Bhakto sine sakha cheti rahasyam hita kutamam. It is guhyam, the word is used here also. Okay, Prabhupada is translating here guhyam as mysterious. Sometimes guhyam is also translated as confidential. Guhyam. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. Raja Vidya, Vidya, knowledge, the king of knowledge. That's in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Raja Vidya, this is the king of knowledge. And Raja Guhyam, most confidential knowledge. Pavitram, purest. Pavitram midam uttamam. Uttamam means highest. Uttam. Uttama shloka. The Lord is glorified by Uttama shloka. By very elevated, highly elevated, wonderful descriptions. Because he himself is highly situated and his activities are also. The Prabhupada is telling here that only those who carefully try to go deep into the matter. How is that done? By spiritual devotion. So that's also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Tesam satata juttanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Those who engage in my service, not just mechanically, not just in an ordinary way, but priti purvakam, with love and devotion, means with consciousness, endeavoring to put our full consciousness in what we are doing, meaning being attentive to listen in the Bhagavatam class, being attentive to chant our japa, being attentive to perform whatever service activity. So if one does in this way, then what will be the result? What will happen? The mystery will be uncovered. The mystery of the Lord's nature, excuse me, the mystery of the Lord's appearance, the mystery of the Lord's activities, and the mystery of the Lord's instructions, Vidya Gyan, transcendental knowledge, will be revealed. Will be revealed by whom? By Krishna. Krishna, who is within the heart, when he sees that we are making that attempt, that endeavor to serve him nicely, with attention, regularly, then he becomes pleased, he becomes happy. What happens to happy people? What happens if your friend is happy? He likes to do nice things for you. If your friend is not happy with you, get out of here. Go away. He's not inclined to do nice things. So Krishna, he is our best friend, and not ordinary friend also. Suridam Sav Bhutanam. So the mystery becomes discovered. Life is all about discovering what we call the mystery of life. What is the mystery of life? There are many mysteries. Mystery of life is what people have been asking themselves since time immemorial. Who am I? Where am I? How did I come here? Why did I come here? And then, what's the next question? Where am I going? Where will I go when this body comes to an end? No one thinks very much that this body will come to an end. That's a big problem. That's everyone's problem. It's the last thing that people think about. Actually, it should be the first. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosh Amidarsanam. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that when we are in the Bhagavatam class, not only our body should be in the Bhagavatam class, but our full mind and attention shouldn't be disturbed by what the dogs are doing or whatever. So Krishna is telling, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha dosha darshanam. Darshanam means darshan. Every day we have darshan. Every day we're supposed to have darshan of the Lord. So, janma mrityu jara vyadi, dukkha dosha darshanam. An intelligent person, every day, every moment of the day, he will be conscious of the main problems of life. What are the main problems of life? Yes. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Actually, the main problems of life are the problems related to these four things. Dukkha dosha. We are experiencing misery, problems, suffering because of these four things. Isn't it? So by unveiling this mystery of life, what happens? Thus one gets liberation from material bondage. We get liberation from material bondage. What is the material bondage? The three modes of material nature. They are like a very tight rope. We are bound up by the modes of material nature. It is advised, therefore, that one who simply recites this chapter of Bhagavatam, it's a very important instruction given here by Srila Prabhupada. It is advised, therefore, that one who simply recites this chapter of the Bhagavatam, describing the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations, in sincerity and devotion, can have insight into the birth and activities of the Lord. Can have insight. What does it mean to have insight? To have insight means to understand. One will understand, one will gain knowledge. It's called realization. But in this case, it means transcendental realization. Evam prasanamanaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam. It means vijnanam. Unless we come to the level of vijnanam. What is vijnanam? There is jnanam and there is vijnanam. What is the difference between jnanam and vijnanam besides the VI? Jnanam means knowledge. And vijnanam? Huh? Devotion service. Vijnana means pure devotional service. Vijnana means realized knowledge. The professors at universities have knowledge. What they are lacking is vijnana. So Krishna is explaining in the Bhagavatam that when the mind becomes purified, peaceful, evam prasanna manaso, Bhagavat bhakti yogataha, one will be able to nicely engage in devotional service, beginning from Mangalarati. Beginning of Mangalarati. Bhagavat bhakti yogataha, and by nicely performing activities in devotional service, then Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, we will be able to realize tattva. Tattva of what? Bhagavat tattva. This is the different incarnations of the Lord. They are Bhagavat tattva. That is tattva. What is the meaning of tattva? Tattva. Tattva darshan. Huh? Truth. And Bhagavat tattva,
Absolute.
absolute truth. Absolute truth means Krishna. But very important here, it mentions that these two factors need to be there. Simply by reciting this particular chapter of the Bhagavatam in sincerity and devotion. So again, that is the ingredient needed. By being sincere, by actually, we are very limited, very crippled. Cannot see, cannot understand things properly. But if we are sincere in wanting to understand, and if we perform our activities with attention, with devotion, then by the mercy of Krishna, we can gain some insight, some understanding. Unless we are receiving the mercy of Krishna, we cannot have this vijnana. That vijnana is given by Krishna. Bhagavat tattva vijnana. Then what happens when we get this Bhagavat tattva vijnanam? Mukta sanghasya jayati. Same thing Prabhupada is explaining here. The very word vimukti, or liberation, indicates that the Lord's birth and activities are all transcendental. Otherwise, simply by reciting them, one could not attain liberation. So because the Lord's activities are all transcendental, because the Lord Himself is transcendental, His body is transcendental, His activities, His birth, His appearance. Therefore, simply by hearing, by reciting, what happens when we hear, when we are associating with the transcendental subject matter. Therefore, it means that we are also gradually becoming transcendental. We are awakening our transcendental nature, our transcendental ability to actually understand the Lord. And the last line of the purport, they are therefore mysterious. The descriptions of the different incarnations that we have been hearing about in this chapter, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations, they are therefore mysterious, and those who do not follow the prescribed regulations of devotional service are not entitled to enter into the mysteries of His birth and activity. We are not entitled to understand the nature of the Lord's mysterious activities. It means we're also not entitled to understand the mysterious nature of the holy name. Yeah. The holy names of the Lord are also transcendental. the Lord's abode in the spiritual world is also transcendental. So we cannot enter into that eternal transcendental abode unless that is being explained here. Unless one follows the prescribed regulations of devotional service. So that's a very important and major subject matter, which is nicely explained by our Goswamis of Vrindavan, especially by Srila Rupa Goswami. Therefore, the nectar of devotion is meant to serve as a guideline. So, in the nectar of devotion, what are the three levels of devotion that are described by Srila Rupa Goswami? Three levels of bhakti. And generally, we all begin by the first level,
Sadhana.
which is sadhana. Yeah, sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is referred to here, means by following rules and regulations, by applying ourselves in becoming, when we follow rules and regulations, we become regulated. So that is the first level of bhakti then. Bhava bhakti. Bhava bhakti is the more advanced level where one begins to actually awaken. One becomes awakened to his original transcendental nature. One begins to develop some sentiments or some feelings of a transcendental nature. And then, if one continues nicely in this way, one attains the highest level of prema bhakti, which is the ultimate destination or goal for all of us. So very interesting how Prabhupada is telling that simply this particular chapter, because it is dealing, describing the very unusual, mysterious, transcendental activities of the Lord in different incarnations, simply by hearing about these activities, by hearing them with attention, with a desire to understand the Lord, especially with a desire to render service to the Lord, with sincerity and devotion, then by the mercy of Krishna, the mysteries of life will be revealed, and the mystery of Krishna's nature and the mysteries of the spiritual world will also become revealed. So this is the translation again, for those who happen to come late. We are repeating the translation of verse 29. Whoever carefully, the word carefully is mentioned here also, whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening, gets relief from all miseries of life. Prabhupada when he was in the West, he used the expression that he introduced actually both morning and evening program. And that morning and evening program became known as the sandwich program. Sandwich, you know what a sandwich is? Less known, I think, in India. A sandwich is very popular in the Western countries. You take one piece of bread on one hand and another piece of bread, and you put something in between, and you fold them together. That's a sandwich. Yeah. And so it means that we begin our day. Very important to begin our day by performing spiritual activities, especially in the matter of attending Mangalarti and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting the holy name. And we finish our day also by hearing something, so that when we go to bed, our consciousness will carry something spiritual. I think we are, let's see, no, we still have quite a few verses.
44.
It's a long chapter, very long. Chapter 3, describing all the different incarnations before going to chapter 4, where the appearance of Sri Narada Muni will be described. So any questions or comments on this?
Guru Maharaj, while performing devotional service, while performing devotional
service.
Any devotional service, whether it is a deity worship or any other devotional service, so actually we are not thinking about that service. Yeah, our mind is hovering here and there.
We're not thinking about the service, our mind is going here and there. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
We are not attentive, our consciousness is not fixed.
Yeah, we're not attentive.
And sometimes some unnecessary tangential thoughts, they come and hit and...
What?
Tangential thoughts. Tangential means it touches only in one point and it goes away. For a moment it comes and goes away.
What do you call that?
Tangent.
Tangent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comes and go like this.
Yeah.
So, but it touches in one point, but it disturbs the whole consciousness, and that's why it's very difficult to perform that service or focus in that. So, how to fix our consciousness and rigidly?
How to fix our consciousness? Yeah. Well,
while performing. Yeah.
The more we are less attentive in doing whatever service we are meant to do, then it's like boxing. You know boxing? Boxing. Did you ever watch a boxing match?
Yeah.
So a good boxer, he will be on guard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the guy in front of him is just waiting for that opportunity to hit him when he's off guard. So in a similar way, we are constantly bombarded by Maya. So if we are not on guard, means to be conscientious, to be attentive in what we're doing. If we don't make that effort, we may not immediately be always successful in being conscientious, but we will never become conscientious if we don't make that effort. So even the guy who's boxing with his two hands like this, he may still get hit. But if he's not on guard, he'll get hit more. So material nature, the material world is such that if we are not making that effort to be attentive in performing our different services, then we will be constantly bombarded. Our mind will constantly be agitated in so many ways. That is why our acharyas recommend, and Srila Prabhupada in particular, explains how we should be Bhagavatam also, again and again, even here is being underlined, that we should be making that attempt, we should be endeavoring to be attentive in whatever it is we're doing. If we're in the Bhagavatam class is only for a short time every day. We should endeavor to hear what is being read from the purport and what is being explained by the person who's speaking. And if we don't make that endeavor, then definitely our mind will go all over the place. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, as we know, that that is the nature of the mind. And the mind is chanchala, very flickering, very unsteady. So unless we make that effort to control the mind, so the best way to control is by the mind being a lower faculty than the intelligence. So therefore, we utilize our higher faculty of the intelligence and we make a concerted effort to do whatever we're doing nicely, properly. Prabhupada mentions these two things here. With sincerity, we sincerely endeavor to do what we're doing properly. And we are conscientious, Prabhupada mentions also, with devotion. That means understanding that we're doing things ultimately for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna. It won't happen overnight, but if one is not making that effort, is not conscientious, then, and that is only possible if one's consciousness is purified. That verse we were mentioning a few minutes ago. It is only with a purified mind that one can nicely engage in activities of devotional service. And it is only by properly engaging conscientiously with love and devotion in activities of devotion that we will attract Krishna's attention and that he will help us attain this level of Vigyan. There is Bhagavad Bhakti and Bhagavad Tattva Vigyanam. This Tattva Vigyanam comes after Bhagavad Bhakti, by performance, by proper performance of Bhagavad Bhakti. And this Bhagavad Bhakti only comes after our mind becomes we can say peaceful, prasanna. Prasanna means peaceful, satisfied. And our mind can only become peaceful when we have made that endeavor, when we have practiced, when we have followed the various recommended rules and regulations. So therefore, spiritual life is very much based on becoming regulated. Brahmacharya life is regulated life. Actually, all of the 4 ashrams, Brahmacharya life is based on regulations. Grihastha life is also based on regulations. All of the ashrams are based on regulations that are described in detail in our literatures. And So the more one is making that effort, then the distractions of the material world will be less. If we're not making, it's like, those who are not devotees, those who are not even trying, their mind is constantly disturbed. Constantly disturbed. So to the extent that we as devotees are making that effort, our mind will be more or less disturbed. The more we make the effort, the more we concentrate on what we're doing, the more we are attentive in hearing whenever there's some Krishna Katha going on, then the less our mind will be disturbed. The less our mind will be distracted in different ways. So the effort has to come from our side. When the effort is there from our side, yeyatam mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamiyaham. I reciprocate, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, I reciprocate with those who are actually making the endeavor. As the English saying goes, the Lord helps those who help themselves. If we don't make any endeavor, then Krishna will not be inclined. So, and this is something we need to do every day, because as Prabhupada would explain, becoming a devotee means understanding that there's a fight going on here between ourselves and Maya. We are becoming a devotee means declaring a war on Maya. And Maya is especially present in our mind. So it means declaring war on ourselves, on our uncontrolled mind. That's what it means actually to become a devotee. To be conscientious that we are living in the kingdom. This is the kingdom of Maya. We're in the wrong kingdom. There's another kingdom, the kingdom of Krishna. Now we are in Maya's kingdom, and therefore she's in control. She's very powerful. Those modes of material nature are constantly acting upon us. So unless we take the necessary precautions, we will constantly, again and again, be under the heavy influence of these modes of material nature.
How to come in Krishna's kingdom? How to go in the Krishna's kingdom?
How to go in Krishna's kingdom?
We are presently Maya's kingdom.
Yes.
But how to connect it to Krishna's kingdom?
Well, we must, how to go in Krishna's kingdom, we must first understand that we are in Maya's kingdom, where we're constantly forced to suffer all kinds of miseries. So to the extent that we want to put an end to this miserable condition in which we are in, then we will put into practice the good instructions and suggestions that are given in the Shastra, that are given by sadhus. And that is directly connected with performing activities that are that belong to the kingdom of Krishna, that belong to the transcendental spiritual world. So all of these activities that we are encouraged to do, just like here it mentioned, both in the morning and in the evening, we should be hearing transcendental subject matters. And in between, we should be performing activities, because we can't all day long be sitting especially those who are householders. Maybe brahmacharis, some brahmacharis can do that. But majority of people are householders and they have so many things to do every day. But whoever it may be, we perform activities that are, let's say, authorized and recommended in the Shastra, and we perform them for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna. So in this way, by connecting all the time with Krishna, with Krishna's desire, with transcendental activities become transcendental, then we gradually prepare ourselves to actually transfer ourselves from the kingdom of Maya to the kingdom of Krishna. Yeah. Actually, Prabhupada explains how whoever is nicely, attentively chanting the holy name and performing devotional service, he's already living in the kingdom of Krishna. Because bhakti is an activity of the spiritual world. Golokera Premadhan Harinam Sankirtan. The holy name is an activity or a sound vibration of the spiritual world. So the more we connect with what is transcendental, then we become transcendental. Even though we are here, I was just hearing, actually this morning, one of the lectures on the Nectar of Devotion given by Srila Prabhupada, he mentions how actually the advanced devotee doesn't see anything material. Everything is actually Krishna's energy, because it is Krishna's energy. Is also spiritual. It becomes material when we disconnect it with Krishna. Everything becomes Maya or material when forgetfulness of Krishna is there. Maya, Prabhupada explains, Maya means what is not. So whatever is disconnected with Krishna is not. It is asat. Isn't it? Asat sangha tyaga. A Vaishnavacha. Therefore, our acharyas explain or instruct that we should give up everything that is not connected with Krishna. We should give up association with people who are not connected with Krishna. We should give up activities that are not authorized by Krishna in the Shastra. We should give up all things that are of the nature of asat, means not eternal. Yeah. So that is how we, even in this world, even now, we can actually begin to experience transcendence. We can begin to experience the spiritual world. The pure devotee doesn't live in the material world. He lives in the spiritual world. So we simply need to apply these good instructions that are there, and then gradually that will happen. Yeah. We can be transferred to the spiritual world before going to the spiritual world. Because it's a question of consciousness. We can develop the full spiritual transcendental consciousness even while here in the material world. So therefore, personalities like Srila Prabhupada, although we see him when he was traveling and preaching, introducing Krishna consciousness, we saw him as being part of the material world, but Prabhupada was not in the material world. His consciousness was constantly always in the spiritual world, and he was asking us to come with him. Okay. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Sri Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Bhakti.